All the SAARC countries are India's neighbors. Now listen, afterwards I will dictate notes. There are 8 countries in SAARC. India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Maldives and Afghanistan. Afghanistan joined in SAARC in 2006. Afghanistan joined in SAARC in 2006. Afghanistan is the youngest member in the SAARC. The headquarters of SAARC are at Kathmandu and SAARC was formed in the year 1985. The headquarters of SAARC are at Kathmandu and SAARC was formed in the year 1985. Here comes a surprising fact. The only organization in the world, means SAARC is the organization where its observers outnumber its members. Its observers outnumber its members. That means there are 9 observers whereas there are 8 members in SAARC. There are 9 observers in SAARC but the membership is 8. So, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Maldives and Afghanistan are the members. Whereas observers Australia, China, Japan, Mauritius, Myanmar, USA, EU, European Union, Iran, South Korea. Iran, South Korea, Australia, China, Japan, Mauritius, Myanmar, USA, European Union, Iran and South Korea. These are the observer countries in SAARC. These are the observer countries in SAARC. In India, we have a doctrine called Gujarat Doctrine. We have a foreign policy expert, I.K. Gujarat. He is also, I.K. Gujarat is also our External Affairs Minister and also Prime Minister. He has given a doctrine called Gujarat Doctrine. Gujarat Doctrine says, extend help to your neighbors. Do favor to your small neighbors without expecting much back from them. Help your neighbors without any expectations. This is called Gujarat Doctrine. In India, we had a doctrine called Gujarat Doctrine. Whenever you are writing an answer about SAARC, you should mention about Gujarat Doctrine. And India's relationship with its neighbors have many ups and downs, many issues. There is a concept called Indophobia, fear about India, or in the simple words we can say India's big brotherly attitude. Neighbors always feel that India is dominating its neighbors. Sometimes it is an apprehension only. India's big brotherly attitude. For example, when India asked Nepal to wait for some time to postpone its constitutional enforcement and try to rethink about Madheshi issue, Nepalese media projected that it is India's intrusion into Nepal's internal affairs. They created a phobia against India called Indophobia. Coming to Maldives, the former government in Maldives have projected that India is intruding into Maldives' internal affairs, whereas India is aiming to support democracy in Maldives. In Sri Lanka, when the government persecuted the Tamilian minorities, India strongly supported the human rights in Tamilian areas in Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan government at that time led by Mahendra Rajapakse thought that it was an invasion on Sri Lankan sovereignty. So, India's neighbors consider that India is sometimes playing a big brotherly attitude. In fact, these neighbors complain about this, and they also speak about Indophobia. You should use the word Indophobia. And the most important problem between India and its friends is China factor. The China factor. Before China's might, the countries like Bhutan, Nepal, Maldives, they are really small, but still China will not ignore a very small neighbor also. China's OBOR, particularly China's string of pearls policy, where China is constructing, helping ports, infrastructure development projects in the India's neighborhood and trying to encircle India in the Indian Ocean region. And China intentionally makes friendship with all the India's neighbors through its investments, loans, aid, soft power policy. In fact, the China's Pakistan's economic corridor, CPEC, China-Pakistan economic corridor, is an invasion on India's sovereignty. India's area of Gilgit-Baltistan now is being used to construct the road. It was in POK, Pak Occupied Kashmir. So, the first factor is Gujarat doctrine you have to mention. Second is Indophobia. Third is China factor. The most important thing India and SAARC is Indo-Pak conflict. Many foreign policy experts consider that Indo-Pak conflict is a major thing which have actually thwarted India-SAARC relations, which was also made the SAARC dysfunctional. In all the SAARC forums, it was projected that India-Pak were in the bitter entanglement, bitter fight. This is called India-Pak conflict. More importantly, in SAARC, there is a rule called unanimity rule. Unanimity rule. Unanimity rule means unless all SAARC leaders attend, the summit will not be conducted. Unless all SAARC leaders attend, the summit will not be conducted. Whenever a leader did not attend for some reason, the summit will be postponed. Whenever there is an India-Pak fight, summit will be postponed. Whenever there is a LTT issue, if Sri Lanka do not attend, summit will be postponed. Whenever there is a constitutional instability in Nepal, if the Nepal leader do not attend, summit will be postponed. Likewise, in the last 33 years, SAARC summit was held only for 18 times, whereas there is a need to conduct annual summit. The 19th summit, which was expected to be held at Islamabad in 2016, was suspended because India have not attended it due to Pathankot terror attacks. And this is called unanimity rule. The next important point is all the neighboring countries complain trade deficit with India. They say India sells more in our countries, but India do not purchase much from our countries. India sells more in our countries, but India do not purchase much from our countries. Actually, India and neighbors share much geographical similarity. India produces jute. Bangladesh also produces jute. India produces jute. Bangladesh also produces jute. India produces wheat. Pakistan also produces wheat. India produces tea. Sri Lanka also produces tea. When something is available in our country, we don't import from our neighbors, right? That is a major thing. In fact, when you produce similar things, there will be a competition. When you produce similar things, there will be a competition internationally. So, that is one of the reasons for the failure. And for any institution to work well, we need funding. But except India, Pakistan, to an extent Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal, Maldives, they don't have big capacity for funding. even tourism connectivity, people to people connectivity, flight frequency. For example, flight frequency between India and Singapore, India and Abu Dhabi, India and America, India and London is much more than the flight frequency between India and SAARC countries. So, connectivity is very important for any country to develop its relations, but unfortunately we do not have proper connectivity, even road connectivity. We are actually working on SAARC motor vehicle agreement, SAARC railways agreement, but they are not of much use till date. They have not yet materialized. And in 2006, we have unveiled SAFTA, South Asian Free Trade Area, with the future vision to make this SAFTA as customs union, then single market, then economic union. But SAFTA itself is not being followed in spirit even today. Though SAFTA was in force from 2016, the spirit of SAFTA is not yet been properly implemented. And more importantly, one more organization called BIMSTEC was started, because most of the countries in SAARC believe that Pakistan is a major reason for the lackluster functioning of SAARC. To eliminate Pakistan, BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, BIMSTEC was started, but so SAARC still lost its relevance. You should not end your answer by saying that SAARC lost its relevance. And India also sometimes overlooking SAARC. I will tell a simple fact. In the last 5 years, in 2013-14, India's spending on SAARC countries, its neighbors, is around 5,900 crore rupees. In the recent government data, India's spending for SAARC is only 3,800 crore rupees. So, 5 years back it was 5,900, now it was 3,800. Except for Maldives, India's support for all the SAARC countries, financial support got decreased. As it is a time to follow Gujarat doctrine, India should rework on its neighbors. Recently, India started a program called Project Mausam. Ministry of Culture, to reconnect its ties with Indian Ocean countries, not only with SAARC countries but also with all neighbors. So, India, in order to become a global power, first it should become a regional power first. If it has to become a regional power, it has to work on with neighbors. Good neighborhood policy is very, very important. Unless you win over neighbors, you should not excel in foreign policy. And more importantly, when your neighbors expect lot from you, you should not be tight-fisted. You should be very liberal, at least towards the neighbors. Neighbors first policy, neighborhood first policy, India should follow. Then automatically SAARC will be rejuvenated and resuscitated, and definitely India will lead at the global level if it can lead at the local level. And recently India helped SAARC countries with SAARC satellite, South Asia satellite. This satellite is useful for disaster management, health, education, remote sensing, and for other benefits. So, such type of initiatives India should take in future. We also have SAARC Disaster Management Center, SAARC University, SAARC Agriculture Centers. We have many things, but functioning of these institutions is also should be promoted properly. Then only SAARC will excel. This is the answer. Okay. So, take down the notes.